Welcome. I am Nadia Colburn. It is day 4 already, and I am so glad to be here with you again. I hope you have been enjoying the week. So far, we've talked about writing as a process of deep listening and how to use our meditation practice to help. We've talked about tapping into the stories and wisdom of the body, and we've talked about how to read literature as writers and learn to bring more vibrant writing to the page. The more that we bring these 3 components together, the deeper and more powerful our writing becomes. And the more that we'll not only be able to listen to ourselves on the page, but we'll also be able to listen to ourselves off the page. So in all of these practices, we're really approaching writing as a process of translation, moving from one element and medium to another. And when we think of writing this way, then we become the mediums, the translators. We're not primarily the doers, but rather the vessel through which the writing, the story, is translated. And this is very liberating because it gives us a lot of freedom. We're not as attached to the one single story or getting it right. There are many ways of being. And I like to think of jazz, how there are many wonderful versions of the same piece of music. So bringing these elements together and having this mindset helps us not only for the first draft, but also for the revision process. Often when we're talking about more holistic writing, people only talk about first drafts, as if being interested in process means that we're not also interested in product. And I think that's really sad because process and product go together, just as form and content go together. When we have new processes to approach our work, the work itself will get deeper and richer. And when we pay close attention to the craft, the process also gets deeper and more rewarding, and we learn more. I want to remind you of that quote by one of E.M. Forster's characters that we talked about in the first lesson. The character says, "How do I know what I think until I see what I've said?" And one of the reasons that our writing is often unclear is because we don't really know what we think, but as we put it on the page, we become more and more clear. And that's actually a really exciting process. So I like to think of the revision process as a revision process, a process of seeing again more deeply with more insight and acuity. We often get stuck in the same old stories, the same habits, the same patterns in our life and in our writing. And those are the places that stop us, that block us. These practices, meditation, listening to the body, putting words on the page, give us the skills to pause, to stop before we go down the same path, and to create new paths, new ways of feeling and being, new ways of using language, and new stories. So when we get to the revision process, this is a really exciting and vibrant time, and this is when there is so much growth. And it happens not only at the end, but really if we have this mindset throughout the whole writing process. And we can come to see that when we have a hard time writing, it's often because it's not really clear to us what we want to say, and we can just walk into that space of not knowing to unearth more fully what it is we really want to say, to explore more deeply our true vision, to get more particular, to enter into the body's experiences more. Now, here's the thing. When we put our writing on the page, the clarity that we're looking for is not oversimplification. We're not looking to say this is the final word, but rather to point out the nuances. We look more closely, we notice differences, shifts, multiplicity. That's the true texture of life and of great writing. And meditation helps us with this too. We might sit on our mat and feel pain in our knee, but when we meditate with the pain, we notice that it's always changing and shifting. And so as you put your close observations on the page, then read them back to yourself and get more precise. Put in what changes, the shades, the nuances. Put onto the page not only the things that you do know, but also the things that you don't know, your questions. Put in the light and put in the shadows. So give yourself a bigger range, and this happens through the vision and revision process. I love Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's The Danger of a Single Story TED Talk. In it, she talks about how growing up in Nigeria, none of the books she read were about Africans. And when she came to school in the US, people she encountered had very limited views of what Nigerians, what Africans were really like. They had very stereotypical ideas. And those stereotypes, those single stories, are harmful. The wisdom of this insight applies not just to how we think of and represent and treat others, but also to how we think of and represent ourselves. Too often, we get stuck in a single story about our lives, about our own value, our own worth, what happened, what didn't happen. We run the same tape over and over. But our writing can help us see our own lives in more nuanced, complex, multidimensional ways as well. And the revision process can help us in that deepening of vision, that ability to see things from multiple angles. For me, this is a very deep and spiritual and transformative process. And so I want to just share with you this poem by Wallace Stevens. Many of you may know it. I always find it inspirational. 13 Ways of Looking at a Blackbird, where he has 13 short haiku-like poems that represent 13 ways of looking at this bird. And this is just an example of how literature can help us see differently. So this is just the first 4 sections of the poem. 13 Ways of Looking at a Blackbird. 1. Among 20 snowy mountains, the only moving thing was the eye of the blackbird. 2. I was of 3 minds, like a tree, in which there are 3 blackbirds. 3. The blackbird whirled in the autumn winds. It was a small part of the pantomime. 4. A man and a woman are one. A man and a woman and a blackbird are one. Notice how the black of the bird stands out against the white snow, how the bird shifts the relationship between the man and the woman. And notice how the poem is purely descriptive. There are no emotional words, and yet the poem suggests great emotion. So these are just examples to get us excited for our own writing, so we can read as writers. Now I want to share another passage. This one is from Toni Morrison's Song of Solomon. In this passage, Pilot, a woman, is talking to Milkman and Guitar, 2 teenagers, about her childhood, remembering a time that she and her brother wandered in the woods after their father was killed. So this was obviously a difficult time. Here's the passage. We were lost then and talking about dark. You think dark is just one color, but it ain't. There are 5 or 6 kinds of black, some silky, some woolly, some just empty, some like fingers. And it don't stay still. It moves and changes from one kind of black to another. Saying something is pitch black is like saying something is green. What kind of green? Green like my bottles? Green like a grasshopper? Green like a cucumber? Lettuce? Or green like the sky is just before it breaks loose to storm? Well, night black is the same way. May as well be a rainbow. So this is a really profound lesson that Pilot is teaching here about the nuances of experience and of description. Even difficult experiences have as many colors as a rainbow. Even a word like green can mean so many different things. We can be more and more aware, more and more precise, more and more present. The passage continues. Now we lost, and there was this wind, and in front of us was the back of our daddy. We were some scared children. Mason kept telling me that the things was scared of wasn't real. What difference do it make if the thing you're scared of is real or not? I love this. What difference do it make if the thing you're scared of is real or not? When we write, we don't need to worry too much about whether what we're writing is factually real. The important thing is the emotional truth of the experience. Fear is fear, so write your experiences, put them on the page, give them details, give them physical sensations, and make them come alive. And if you meet resistance, if you come to describing something that is hard, don't run away, but instead see if you can re-see it, revision it, if you can describe it differently in more detail, if you can shift your perspective to it, if you can go into the experiences of the body with gentleness, not triggering yourself, of course, but just showing up with compassion and presence and interest. Be the vessel through which your experiences pass and are translated onto the page. So I'm going to be leading you into a bit of movement and then giving you time to write. Today, we're going to be doing Sufi grind and spinal twist as in day 2. And I'm going to add a 1-minute, very challenging posture called stretch pose. In this practice, which is hard for almost everyone, we're going to be meeting resistance in the body and noticing how we interact with it. So as always, please modify to fit yourself. And your job really is to see how mind and body interact and to come into a more gentle, compassionate space with yourself. Try not to criticize yourself. So let's see how it goes. Okay, so let's turn off the screen if you have the screen on, and let's practice together. Make sure you have your writing materials close by. Come to a comfortable seated position. I prefer to sit with crossed legs on the floor, but you can sit in a chair. And let's begin. Take a nice long, deep breath. Connect mind and body through the breath. Inhaling and exhaling. And now let's come into Sufi grind. So we're going to inhale as you circle forward and exhale as you go back. Staying rooted in your sit bones and moving in a circle around them, inhaling forward, exhaling back. Going at your own pace. This is the same exercise we did on day 2. Focusing on your breath. And now when you complete that circle, change directions, continuing to exhale forward and inhale forward and exhale back. Changing directions. Moving the breath with the body. Noticing both the stillness and the movement. And when you complete this next round, come to center, inhale, raise your arms above your head, and stay here with a suspended breath, letting that energy circulate. Suspend the breath, hold the breath. Be at that point of stillness. And let everything go. Now we're going to come into spinal twist. So bring your arms parallel to the floor, your thumb behind your shoulder, your hands on your shoulders, inhaling left, twisting to the left, and exhaling, twisting to the right. Go at your own pace, bringing the breath and the movement together. Again, we're practicing stillness and movement at the same time. Stillness rooted down into the floor with the base and twisting on top. Modify this however it fits your body. Just do it in your mind's eye if you don't want to do it with your body. Breathing mindfully. Go at your own pace. Beautiful. Now come back to center. Inhale, bring the arms above your head. Suspend the breath. Suspend it and notice that energy circulating in your body. And when you can't hold the breath anymore, then let everything go. And now we're going to come right down to the floor. So if you have a yoga mat or a towel, that's great. You're going to bring your feet, you're lying on your back, and you're going to bring your feet around 6 inches off the floor and bring your head and shoulders 6 inches off the floor and your arms by your side. Okay, and we're going to just be here together for 60 seconds. Modify however you need to. Notice how time can slow down. If you need to modify, you can bend one leg or both legs, or put one leg on the floor or both legs on the floor. But really see if you can go to whatever is right for your body and push your body to build up that strength even while you have equanimity in your mind. This is the practice. How do we meet resistance? And how do we come out of our critical voice about ourselves to just be with what is? So we have about 15 more seconds here. Breathe. You've got this. Whatever you're doing is right for you. This is really building up core strength, which is where our creativity is. And beautiful, let everything go. Just lie, relax on the floor, let it all go. So just lie here and listen to my prompt. My prompt is to find something that is hard. It could be a piece of writing that you feel stuck with, or a part of your life story, or an experience that you had this morning, something that's difficult, and try to put it on the page, approaching it from a new angle. Is there a way you can shift your perspective on it? Can you notice something more deeply? Can you see where the light gets in? Can you come alongside the experience instead of butting heads with it? And just see where this takes you. Be open, be curious. To shake things up, I'm going to give you a few words to work with. Use all or none or some of them. Just have fun and see where you go. Fingers, empty, woolly, grasshopper, bottle, and snow. Have fun, see where you go, and stay connected to your body as you write. Take one more minute here. Congratulations, your practice is done for the day. It's such a pleasure being here with you. I look forward to being with you again tomorrow, and we'll add some extra elements that can help you really bring your best work to the page. Today, if you have extra time and you want to just extend the practice, I invite you to go back to the piece that you just wrote and read it to yourself. And you might want to read it aloud. And then see if you can go even deeper into it. Put in more details, be more precise, ask questions, see if there's something else you can add or shift or take out that isn't necessary. So experiment, improvise, and see what wants to come from the piece. If you want to go back and do the movement and meditation again before you write again, you can do that. And set your timer for 7 minutes and then see what happens. But if you don't have time to go farther, please don't worry. I am so proud of you for doing all 4 days. I really look forward to being with you again tomorrow. And have a wonderful rest of the day and see you soon. Bye-bye.